My boyfriend left me and our baby, so I exposed his cancer, lie, his shocking STI, and his disgusting double life to protect every woman he ever deceived. Plus 3 updates. My partner told me, when we first got together, that he had cancer, and if his operation didn't go well, it could be terminal. He said his treatments had also made him infertile, so imagine our shock and joy when we found out I was expecting at the start of 2024. We now have a beautiful 5-month-old daughter, who is perfectly healthy and thriving, and he is in remission. My pregnancy was difficult and lonely because of all the intense treatments he went through while waiting for his operation. I did a lot on my own, knowing he desperately needed this to have the best chance possible of shrinking his tumor before having it removed, so we could have a long, happy life together as a family. He is currently living with his mother while he is in recovery, so that it takes the pressure off me caring for both him and our baby until he is well enough to move into our new home with us. He still comes to our house, and we go to his mother's all the time, so our baby isn't missing him. On Wednesdays, he has his daddy-daughter days, where it is just the two of them, to make sure they are bonding well, and he has the practice until he is well enough to care for her at home full-time and give me a little break too. Last week, we had an attempted break-in at the house. I asked him to come over and stay here while I was waiting for the locks to be changed because I was scared, but he wouldn't. I was talking to his mother too, who slipped up, telling me he wasn't home. To make a long story short, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. We argued for over 24 hours before my suspicions became too much, and I went to Facebook. It took me less than an hour to find the first 2 women. During my pregnancy, I was suspicious of a lot of things, and put it all down to my hormones, as he would continuously tell me that I was paranoid and hurting him when I asked. One thing my paranoia just wouldn't let up about was his cancer and his treatments. I asked his mother about it, who told me he doesn't have cancer, but he is having treatments. He has an autoimmune disease for which he receives transfusions. It is very serious, but nowhere near terminal, and no operations are required. She also informed me he was in rehab, not the hospital. He was addicted to cocaine and was trying to recover for me and our baby. I never mentioned to him that I knew. I assumed it was the embarrassment of wanting to get clean without me knowing, so he could be a good partner and dad. I was so proud of him for getting that help that I never spoke about it. With his autoimmune disease, his mother explained how brutal it has been for him, and that he did have chemo a few years back, so maybe that's why he was confused. Pregnancy brain is a real thing, or maybe I was just too blindly in love, because I accepted this and never questioned it again. After discovering the first 2 women, I sent my partner a message, telling him to let his girlfriend know I was asking after her, and not to bother coming home anymore. I'd had the locks changed because of the break-in, so he couldn't get in. He panicked and started begging me to answer the phone and let him come see me, so he could explain everything. I started to see everything through clear eyes for the first time, and realized how long he had been gaslighting me for, and told him no. Realizing he couldn't get through to me, and now aware I was trying to contact his girlfriend, he panicked and went to her instead. During that time, I found a photo she had shared of the 2 of them, and shared it to my profile with the caption, "Can someone please ask this woman to contact me?" She instantly blocked me, but her sister got in touch with me instead. Apparently, the family has never trusted him and knew something was wrong. This affair was serious enough that she'd met the family. She says he has told her not to speak to me, as I'm a deranged stalker he slept with once years ago, and I'd been hunting him down, trying to convince people my baby is his. I sent her a photo of the birth certificate and of us in the hospital together to show her sister before he could lie to her anymore. During this, I was also messaging another woman who was furious at what he had done, and was helping me with all the information she was aware of. She tells me he broke her heart by cheating on her, without even knowing he was cheating on me too. So far, I had the current timeline. In March, he was with a 19-year-old. From April to July, he was in rehab with a woman of an appropriate age this time, but he was also cheating on her. From August until now, he's been with his 20-year-old girlfriend. I then found out that his emergency cancer medication, which he had to leave for in the middle of labor, was actually a cover story. My 2 failed epidurals, screaming in agony begging doctors to help, thinking I was dying, while the emergency team rushed in to place extra monitors on our baby in distress, was actually just a huge turn-on for him. So he needed to go sleep with a 20-year-old before making it back just in time to kiss me before I went into emergency surgery. This all happened on a Sunday, and it was now Saturday of the following week. I made a post on Facebook calling out my partner for his actions. It included photographs, medical notes, and other evidence. I asked people to leave me alone on Tuesday after 48 hours of no sleep, multiple calls to the crisis team, and a barrage of harassment from his friends and family who wanted to sue me for character defamation. If this were a regular affair, I'd lick my wounds and move on. But I have now learned I'd been leaving my daughter alone with a drug addict who was claiming he didn't know me or his daughter to others, but was simultaneously demanding custody rights from me. Tens of women have now come forward who have also dated him during our relationship, with no idea of me or of each other. This is obviously really upsetting, but what upsets me the most is that I began to notice a very worrying pattern. He had been telling every single one of these women that he had cancer and couldn't get them pregnant. I said my labor and delivery was difficult. I was induced due to an infection I had. My general practitioner had told me I had an STI, and although I understood and took the treatment, and was induced, my madly in love, pregnancy brain never accepted it as an STI. It wasn't until I went back this week and checked my hospital discharge notes that it was there in big bold letters, sensitive, partner STI. He had been telling women that he had cancer and couldn't get them pregnant, so they wouldn't need protection. This led to an STI, which almost killed me and his daughter during labor. And he wasn't even there to be with us, because he was sleeping with a young girl who also believed he had cancer. I decided to let everyone know that he in fact does not have cancer, by using a screenshot of his mother's messages. This information went to all the women he has slept with, to make sure they take a pregnancy and STI test, all his friends whom he has been guilting for years over his condition, and also social services and the police for sexual endangerment. My daughter and I now have safeguarding in place for us, from a local organization for women leaving abusive relationships. So I feel very safe to reveal the truth about him and make sure all of his partners are safe and informed, seeing as he couldn't uphold his legal obligation of declaring an STI. I guess his new girlfriend will do it for him. I have also had contact from many of his old friends, band members, and ex-partners, who have all given me testimonies to use for the police, and as backup for if his mother does in fact try to sue me. This man has been lying and manipulating women for over 9 years. So far, everyone is now aware of his lies, and I am waiting for my in-person meeting with the police. I can't imagine any updates from here, as it will only be a legal battle that probably can't be shared, but if anything else of interest comes up, I will make sure to write about it. Oh, also, my partner is a primary school teacher. The original poster later clarified. It came to light this week that his ex-partners had been reporting him for years, to no avail. His mother is on the school board, and her best friend is his head teacher. She added, "We're in the UK." His complaints had been escalated to LADO in the past, which is basically our version of what controls the school's judgment over any dangerous situations, but nothing ever happened. She also explained, he deleted his Facebook after I made a post on there. He is the most convincing person you've ever met, but for the first time, someone proved him wrong by posting medical evidence, and he couldn't take it. I'm waiting on approval to join Prick Advisor UK, and Are We Dating the Same Man, Northeast, to warn all the other women I couldn't find myself. Regarding the STI, she stated, "At the time, I refused further testing in denial and regret it so much. I was just given a course of antibiotics, and because my symptoms went away, they left it at that for me. All I know is that from the STI being untreated for so long, I ended up with strep group B2, which is why I needed to be induced. So I was on an antibiotic drip when my waters were broken, so my baby would be safe. She's perfectly healthy and faced no issues, luckily. I think I've been lucky, and whatever it was must not have turned into a more serious STD, because my medical documents only say partner STI. We also haven't slept together for a very long time now, after my surgery, so I know I'm at least safe now." About his schedule, she said, he would disappear from time to time and switch his phone off a lot. Not living together was a huge help for him. He would tell me he needed set days and times, as he could only work in routines for his recovery. Obviously, I can look back now and see that really, he just needed to know which girl was where and when. I've been told by multiple people now that he would often just not turn up to work, because he was on a bender, or at a woman's house. I was kept in the dark because his mother's best friend is the head teacher, and would cover for him. She continued, he was in a band. I've just found out this week that he wasn't kicked out in 2019 for having cancer, like he'd told me, but kicked out in 2018, when his abusive behavior towards women was exposed. They cut all ties with him, except one band member, who didn't believe it and never mentioned anything about it to me or gave me a heads up. To a commenter who asked if he was her ex, she replied, "If he lives in the UK and used to be in a feminist punk band, then there's a good chance. I'm so sorry for your experience and hope you've healed." She also mentioned, "I've shown my social worker what I've shared online so far, and as no one has been named or can be identified here, that's okay. I've been extremely polite about the situation and only exposed myself on Facebook, so they're okay with me sharing that. But for the sake of not giving him any more ammo or information to use in his defense, I need to be careful until the investigations are over. I wouldn't want to mess up my case and have him teaching for another 6 years, like the last time he was reported. Sadly, I think parents are aware and not receiving help from the school in the situation. One woman he dated during the summer realized who he was when she went to drop her child off at school in September. She's been updating me to let me know that he wasn't seen in school for multiple days after my health visitors and social worker began the reports on Monday, but he was back in half a day on Friday. Reflecting on her journey, the original poster said, "I've spent the last few months building up our rundown little council house that I managed to get for us to make it into our dream home. All while caring for our little girl and giving more love and support to him and his family than I've ever given myself. She falls asleep at midnight or 1 a.m., and I work through the night decorating and building furniture. I keep forgetting that I've just given birth, and I haven't even recovered myself. He made me into a mouse of a person, and so dependent on him that I haven't felt strong at all. I think now I can see through clear eyes and realize how many women I've managed to help so far, and the work I'm putting in to protect the children at his school. I do feel more proud of myself, and hope one day my baby girl will be proud of me too." She also admitted, "I completely admit I used a clickbait title. I'd never written a post before, only read others, so I just copied what I'd seen online for the title hook. I wish the rest was fabricated, but sadly, it's actually very condensed to focus on his lies about cancer." Update. I've spoken to the police this morning. There is nothing they can do unless they find the drugs on his person in the school. So nothing is stopping him from snorting a line before he starts work, as long as he takes nothing else with him. They've implied the loophole is that if they catch him behind the wheel, and if someone reported him driving on drugs, they could catch him that way. They said they can confirm that multiple reports and investigations have begun before even my report, so they are unable to share much information with me, even though the case involves me. But they told me it is imperative I apply for Claire's Law and have helped me with the application. It can take up to 10 days for my in-person meeting to provide my documents, and then it can take several weeks for the information to be shared with me. Knowing what I do already, I feel sick that they told me how important it is for me to make this application. I can't believe in a few weeks, he's going to disgust me even further when I receive his police records. My only silver lining is that once I have the police reports, on top of my medical reports, he doesn't stand a chance in family court, and my girl and I will be free to restart our lives together. Also, another little note. I've been looking for family court advice in a mother's support group, and have been informed that luckily, she's only 5 months old. Any name changes can be made before 6 months with only one parent's consent, and the witnesses don't need to be his choice. So I will be removing his surname, and his grandmother's name from her middle name, for her to take my surname, and not have any more ties to his family. I just wanted to include an apology here as well, as a lot of people have commented on my poor writing. I am a new mother, who was lacking sleep even before any of this came to light. Everything I've written has basically been just a big vent from me. I know I'm no novelist, but I still apologize if it's been difficult to read. The original poster further explained, "My health visitor made the exact same point. She said she would look into it for me and make the report on my behalf, as she has a legal obligation to report everything I said anyway. My worry is that when speaking to the police today, they said without physical evidence they can't really do much. Even if multiple women come forward with the exact same claim, it's still hearsay and can't be pursued. I've checked all my past messages, and can't find anything in writing from him that can be used." She clarified about her online activity, "Thank you for your concern and advice. I've shown my support worker what I've shared, and she said everything is above board." He's also already been named and shamed in a couple of groups, by someone he was speaking to on a dating app after finding out about me. I have only shown my own information. I would never expose another woman, and no one has been named but me and my partner. In all honesty, the post was more to prove that we had been in a relationship and had a child, more than anything. He was getting his friends and family to harass me, saying he didn't know me, and gaslighting me so much I started to doubt the past year and a half myself. I only said what he had done to me, and just mentioned that I was aware now that he had affairs. I've gone in much more detail here about things, with the safety of being anonymous. I shared photos of us together, text messages of our boring lives like love you more, we need nappies, and my medical records showing the STI. In the UK, it's only illegal to show other people's messages without consent. The only ones I ever saved to be used in court, with the consent of the women who sent me them, if it comes to it. As I am the one who sent the messages I've shared, and there is no defamation, my social worker thinks I'll be okay. She concluded, also, I'm sorry. In my part of the UK, ma'am or mammy is most commonly used, and then mum or mummy. We never use mom. It's funny how different parts of the world speak the same language but use completely different words. Update. I have managed to provide enough evidence of drug use and emotional blackmail to the police to have a domestic abuse case opened. This is going straight past the school, to the highest authority, to keep him away from children. This is huge news and gives me such a relief, knowing my child and others will be safe. But I still have that awful feeling of guilt for him. Just 2 weeks ago, we called each other bride and groom. I think it's going to take a while to grieve the person I thought I knew while dealing with the one I know now. I hope this is the point he actually goes to rehab instead of lying about it, and can find happiness and restart his life. I don't think I want to make any more updates now. I am unbelievably grateful for the kind words and advice, but I originally just wrote this to get my emotions out of my head to help me sleep better. I know I used a clickbait title, but I did not expect my post to blow up like this. Thank you all for helping and making my emotions feel validated in an absolutely insane situation. My little girl and I are going to be okay. Further update from the original poster. This is me, I'm the original poster. I just found this post after a friend showed me a podcast it was on. All of my posts and updates were written about 4 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, and were mostly rants. So I'm sorry if there are any mix-ups or confusion. I also didn't know how to edit posts at the time to go back and make sense of my rambling. This was written a week after it happened, so the police seemed quick, but in actual fact, I'm still waiting on updates from Claire's Law and the cases they mentioned during my interview. I am 27, and my ex is 33. Group B strep isn't an STI, and I apologize if I didn't make that clear. It's a bacteria contracted from being intimate, apparently common in people with autoimmune disease, but only harmful during pregnancy. I never received STI testing during pregnancy due to being over 25. My general practitioner told me that my symptoms presented as an STI and recommended testing for gonorrhea, but I turned down the offer, thinking it wasn't possible. She just told me I had group B strep, so it must have only been that. It was my discharge papers from the hospital that had sensitive partner STI under the risk assessment section. I made a mistake. He did actually tell me he was in rehab. I forgot, as I didn't have text messages about it. He emailed me for 1 month, telling me he couldn't have his phone in rehab, and I had completely forgotten. Yes, he is still with his new girlfriend. She is sadly under the same spell I was. She rang me off his mother-in-law's phone to demand a DNA test on my child, and they have all been blocked since. I start domestic abuse counseling this month, and I am also on a waiting list for perinatal counseling too, to help me process my trauma and get help as a single mother. I'm not doing very well at the moment, but my daughter is doing extremely well. He is still working at the school during all these investigations, and from what I've been told, I obviously don't go out drinking in town anymore to see for myself. He is drug dealing, drinking, and using every weekend with his group of 20-year-old friends. I hope that answers most of the questions in the comments. For the people saying they have been through similar, I am so unbelievably sorry. This is the worst pain I have ever experienced, and I would never wish it on another soul. If you're still going through this or are still struggling, please contact your country's crisis teams and go to your doctors for mental health advice. I'm not sure about other countries, but the UK is brilliant for confidential help and advice. You're never alone. Thank you all for advice and help.